Awesome. Well, we'll get started with Web3 101. Our goal is in 40 minutes to give you a crash course in everything you need to know to get started. So we got a lot to cover. So welcome again. My name is Laura. I am the founder of a professional network for women in Web3 called We3. This is one of our posters, and there's another sign up somewhere near the door if you want to join. We are a leading community of 2,000 members so far who are aiming to be at the forefront of Web3. So our mission is to see 50% of women in Web3 leadership roles and 50% of women and non-binary professionals holding crypto assets. And of course, a more inclusive world means a better place and more fun for all the men out there as well. So we're super excited to be here. My background, I worked in regular tech at a real estate company, Open Door, for several years before. And we'll be telling you a bit more about my Web3 journey, but it's super excited to have you all here as well.
Hi, so excited to be here. My name is Mai. I'm CEO and co-founder of Curious Addys, and my partner and I started Curious Addys to help people learn about Web3. And we build the community to learn with, and we build the product to help you onboard to Web3. So one of the things that we are working with ASU+GSV is help you all mint the first NFTs. And a little more of a personal story. I came to the United States 4 years ago, and I never would have expected that I'm going to be standing here, speaking about Web3, because when I first learned about web blockchain, I was like, what is this? So intimidating, overwhelming, and it looks really male-dominated, and I was like, there's no way I will be fitting here. But after I started buying Bitcoin and started learning about crypto and Web3, I started really understanding why Web3 is so exciting and why Web3 is going to make everyone's life so much better. And hopefully this talk, Laura and I are going to uncover what exactly Web3 is, and make you a little bit more excited about Web3.
Yeah, the goal is for everyone to have that moment where you're like, wow, that's so interesting. So today we're going to walk through why you might want to care about Web3, what is Web3, what is blockchain, what really is Bitcoin and Ethereum, which you've probably heard about, what is DeFi, decentralized finance, what are NFTs, what is the Metaverse, and what is a DAO. And with those weird acronyms, you guys will know everything you need to get started in Web3. All right, so why should you care? Web3 is probably, you've heard, we're reaching an interesting inflection point. So the cryptocurrencies market cap is worth $2 trillion today. That's up from less than $1 trillion, less than $100 billion only a few years ago. To put that in context, the global equities market is $125 trillion, so there's still a long way to go. But the fact that this asset class is doubling is something that has caused a lot of people to pay attention, including many of you probably saw the Bitcoin price run-ups in 2017 to $18,000, in 2021 to $60,000. I think we're now at $45,000. So if anything, that's definitely a sign to pay attention to. NFT trading volumes. We didn't even trade NFTs only a year and a couple months ago. The total NFT trading volume was less than $10 million at the end of 2020. And in the last year, we've seen trading volumes of $4 or $5 billion in a month. So what the heck is going on here? Another exciting reason to care, crypto-related job listings grew 395% in the US alone this past year. There are job opportunities around the country. The work itself is very global and remote in nature. And we have seen VCs plowing billions of dollars into startups. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you work in tech, if you have friends, kids, siblings who are interested in a job and thinking about your next 10, 20 years, Web3 could be not just an industry for you, but will probably touch so many of the other industries that we work in as well. So with all that said, let's get into what is Web3 and what is a blockchain. Of course, this presentation is not financial advice. So blockchain is the backbone of crypto and Web3. One thing to get straight is that blockchain is not exactly the same as crypto, and it's not exactly Web3, and we'll talk about how these words all fit in. So to start with Web3, And to put it into context, Web 1 was the earliest version of the internet when you could go on your company intranet site, look up really boring things like when is the next company meeting and how do you find your vacation policy? And all you could do was read. It wasn't very engaging. There were no pretty apps and pictures. That was Web 1. Web 2 is the 2 decades that we've all been living in. So it's often called the read-write portion of the internet, where you had websites like Facebook and YouTube, where you could not only read, not only see much more engaging content, but users could submit content. And that includes all the apps that we use today, Uber, Lyft, again, companies creating these interesting apps that users can engage with, whether being a driver on a platform, hailing a ride, contributing and uploading your own content. And that's given us plenty to do. But Web3 is what we call read, write, and own, which is what I like to say if you imagine Web 2 as companies creating really interesting products and services, reaching 1 billion users, and companies owning all of the profits, Web 3 is really about creating similarly interesting products, but users being able to own some of those profits and own and share in what's being created. So let's talk about how that could happen. The internet today, as I was mentioning, companies own all the data that they collect about you. So whether that's LinkedIn, you upload all your information. It works great, but what if LinkedIn just one day decided to ban you for no reason? And all these amazing connections you're making at ASU+GSV, like, oh man, you're not gonna remember their names, you're not gonna know how to contact them. And this actually does happen for people. So Instagram, for example, photographers who use Instagram as their main portfolio of work, sometimes their accounts actually get taken down and they truly have no way to access it. I have a friend who works at Instagram and she actually gets complaints and desperate requests for help from her friends who say, you know, I was just posting on someone's outfit and I was like, oh, your outfit looks so great, I would love to shoot you for my portfolio. And bam, she's banned because of course Instagram says, oh shoot, oh that's really dangerous, that's violent. And in Web 2, you really as a user have no recourse against a company if they choose to do something with the materials that you've created on their website. So again, Web 3 is aiming to change that by having you own the assets you create, and instead of having companies own them, we own our own digital assets, whether it's photos, whether it's our LinkedIn profiles, and we store them on the blockchain instead, which is the technology underlying Web 3. So the analogy I like to make for blockchain is it's the technology underlying the cryptocurrencies and the Web3 applications we have today. So if you imagine the printing press, that's technology underlying printing books, printing money. And money is the analogy to the crypto, the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the currencies that we use on these blockchain networks. And we'll talk about both of those. So blockchain, it's literally a chain of blocks, and these are blocks that are stored on the internet, and we're gonna take a look at what is inside one of these blocks. So a block is basically like a storage unit. You could think of it as storing information. In Bitcoin, it stores a certain type of information, Bitcoin transactions. In Ethereum, it could store other types of information. And for each different blockchain, like the ones I just named, you can store slightly different types of information. But all it is really is this storage unit. So to start with Bitcoin as an example, Bitcoin, it is the cryptocurrency of this blockchain, and it also is the name of the blockchain itself. This isn't always true, but this is true for Bitcoin. So a Bitcoin blockchain, you can actually go on this website called blockchain.com and look at different blockchain Bitcoin blocks being created and what's inside them. And here's an example. It's not the most riveting, but what is happening is this is the blockchain Bitcoin block. It's like a tongue twister. It's a Bitcoin block, and what you'll see in a Bitcoin block is very simple. All that Bitcoin is used for is recording transfers of Bitcoin between one person and the next person. So all a Bitcoin blockchain block contains is information about who the sender is, who the receiver is, how much Bitcoin is sent, and the timestamp that this transaction occurs. You might be a little bit underwhelmed. But let's talk about how this is different from normal transactions. So in a normal transaction, if I swipe my credit card, it first needs to go through a bank, and the bank records in their database that I've swiped my credit card, they're going to deduct a certain amount from my bank account, they're going to record that amount to be transferred to the merchant's bank, like the Starbucks or whatever I'm transacting, and it really relies on this bank to say, okay, Laura does have an account with us, she does have funds in her account, we are going to move the funds, we are going to pay these funds towards the merchant she's trying to send them to. And if there's an issue, merchant, you can come to us because we're the one who said that Laura actually has these funds. In a Bitcoin transaction, there's no bank in the middle. So if I send Bitcoin, what happens is there's a mining, what's called mining, which will be a process that different individuals supporting the blockchain network will verify a transaction on the blockchain, put it on the blockchain, which we just saw, and they'll say, okay, Laura's sending so much to whoever, and that's it. There's no bank that has control over my funds. Nobody necessarily knows who I am. And we'll talk about what mining is in a minute as well, but essentially all this can happen if I just have an internet connection. I don't need a credit card. I don't need a bank that approves of my identity, approves of my funds, and I can send to anyone, anywhere around the world. There's no currency exchange fees, and it happens a lot faster than what you would see with a bank. If you've ever tried to send a wire, it takes 3 days at a minimum. If you want to send internationally, it might take even longer. And so all of that is possible much faster over the internet with a blockchain like Bitcoin. And as I was saying, all you need is the internet. A Bitcoin transaction, it can't be changed. So if I accidentally send the money to the wrong person, if it's a scam account or a fraud, I can't go to my credit card company and say, oh, please, can you help me? That's it. The money has gone. There is no single controller. There's no bank. And it does operate 24/7, which is another reason why it's faster. So I feel like I know 3 of these things sound probably kind of appealing, and maybe the you can't send it back one doesn't sound so appealing to us. So let's make sure we talk about why actually it is helpful. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why you might even want Bitcoin as a currency now. So Bitcoin was actually created as a way to improve the financial system. Now you might think, okay, well, our financial system works okay. My credit card worked at Starbucks this morning. Well, one issue is the government controls the supply, and banks are these middlemen or women. The banks, we don't see it too often, but they're taking a cut of every single transaction we send across. So 2%, 3%. If you want to send an ACH, it has even more fees. If you want to, again, in certain countries, if you want to send money to another country, you simply can't. Right now, there are several countries where you actually can't send your funds out. China, there are countries where the government is not able to provide a stable currency. This we talked about. And also, it only happens Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Who has time for that? We don't have time to go to the bank. We don't have time to go to the ATM. So what can we do to make banks more accessible, not just time, but again, to everyone? And as we were saying, okay, well, it works for us, but what about in other countries? In Argentina, the inflation rate is fluctuating widely, and you don't know if a dollar is going to be worth $1 tomorrow or not. Or what if you're a woman in Afghanistan? You literally can't go to a bank. What would be a better system for you to have access to purchasing things, to storing value? And of course, what if your government started printing a lot of money and you're not sure what's going to happen in the coming years, as we saw last year? This might be a reason to think about whether a new financial system could or couldn't be helpful. So we have Bitcoin. What makes Bitcoin valuable? It really comes down to what makes anything valuable. And that really is about if people believe it has value. So I don't know if you guys know this example. This is what my hip teammates talked to me about. Supreme, cool brand, streetwear, T-shirts, sneakers. if you ask me, I was like, oh, this looks like, a packet of ketchup or something. But for some people, this is a brand that has a lot of value to them because they think it's cool. They think it's with the times. If something is scarce, it often has value. Gold, there's a finite supply. Bitcoin also has a finite supply, and that's a reason why if you ask a lot of crypto experts, where should I get started? A lot of people point to Bitcoin because it is a finite supply. It was the very first cryptocurrency ever created, and people believe that that is going to hold value long term. And finally, it's a medium of exchange. If it's actually useful, that'll probably give it some value too. So this is a quick recap. As I was mentioning, there's only 21 million total Bitcoins in the world, and we've currently issued about 18.5 of them. And so that's one natural limit on inflation. We can't keep printing them the way you could potentially print US dollars, other currencies. And lastly, what if we want to do more than just transactions and sending Bitcoin around? This is where Ethereum comes in. Ethereum is another blockchain. And if Bitcoin is a calculator that can just do simple transactions, add and subtract, send Bitcoin around, we can really think of Ethereum as a smartphone where we can do so many more applications, just like when we moved from those basic green and black screen phones to the smartphones that we're addicted to today. So Ethereum allows you to include in your storage blocks, in those blocks, code that lives on the blockchain and can be used to create applications, to do things, whereas Bitcoin blocks could only include information about transferring Bitcoin amounts. Ethereum can allow you to do almost anything that you could do in a web app now. So if you think about your web browser, the different types of apps you can do there, whether it's your Gmail, whether it's ordering something on an e-commerce store, you can do a lot more with Ethereum. We can build applications like exchanging money. There are a couple examples that are pretty well known here in what's called Decentralized Finance, or DeFi. And again, the whole idea of decentralized finance is, as opposed to sending your money through a bank in traditional finance, you can send your money to a blockchain that will transfer money between accounts, all using that Ethereum code that is already generated on the blockchain. No middleman is required. No one needs to verify it. And that allows you to send money around in a faster way, more flexibly, and without that central person saying you are or are not allowed to open a bank account. These are some examples of DeFi apps. If you wanted to get started, Metamask is a common crypto wallet that many people use. What a crypto wallet is it is an online address where you are able to store your funds. And there are a couple different providers of these online wallets. Metamask is one that's often used in decentralized finance, where you are in control of your own wallet. You have what's called private keys, which is kind of like a login, but instead of a company like Facebook having your login, no one else actually knows your login and password besides you. So that's exciting because a central player like Facebook or Instagram can't accidentally or purposefully close your account. It is a little scary because if you lose your password, nobody can help you get in either. So not to scare you all, but that is something to be aware of with MetaMask. Another way to get started is Coinbase. Coinbase actually is a centralized custody wallet where they will store your password for you. So if you want a way to start buying crypto without all that responsibility, you can also start with Coinbase and then kind of progress into other ways of managing your own crypto assets. And on the right is a company called Uniswap. Again, if you want to get a little bit more advanced, Uniswap is a decentralized finance application where you can exchange Bitcoin for Ethereum or Ethereum for other cryptocurrency coins that you want to explore. So with that, those are a few highlights, and we're now going to turn from blockchain and DeFi, the real building blocks of crypto that came about in the last 10 or so years, and talk about NFTs, which took us by storm this last year.
Thank you, Laura. So, as everyone knows, that's just Laura said, last year was the year of NFTs. A couple of people here have bought NFTs probably like last year because that last year was the year. So, for example, you probably have heard of like really crazy news, like people sold for NFT for $69 million. CryptoPunks, like just pixel art was sold for $24 million. And we started an NFT project and sold 5,000 NFTs, and we made $1.7 million within 1.5 months, which is crazy, right? Is it just a bubble, or is it a scam, or is it just people are going crazy, right? It's so unbelievable. But we believe that NFTs are the future, and NFTs can make crypto go mainstream. So before I go into why NFT has value, I'm going to explain a little bit about what exactly is an NFT. So NFT stands for Non-Fungible Token. And what does non-fungible mean? Non-fungible is an interesting word. So fungible items are things like US dollar. So for example, if I have one US dollar, and if you have one US dollar, we can easily exchange, right? Because we both know that the value is exactly the same. However, most of the things in the world are non-fungible. For example, my dog and your dog, right? If I try to exchange my dog to your dog, you will be upset, or like I might be upset, like who knows, right? So, non-fungible items are things that are non-interchangeable. So, non-fungible token are the ones that are completely unique and different. For example, each one of them is an NFT that we published, and each one of them is a token. But as you can see, these octopus have different face, different hat, different body color, and as you can see, each have different trait, which makes everything different and have different values. So all the NFT have like different values. And people have misconception that the art that you saw are actually NFT, but it's actually not true. NFT is a certificate of ownership. So think of it as a title of the house. If you just look at the house, it doesn't tell you who the owner is, right? You have to actually look at the title to know who the owner is. So NFT is the same concept, that this token represents certain asset. It could be images, video, and text. And that token also proves the ownership. And the record of who owns this token, which represents this image or video, is saved in blockchain, and anyone can see who owns this thing. And as Laura explained, blockchain is, once the record is in blockchain, it's almost impossible to change. So it shows how authentic it is the ownership in for digital asset. So what does that mean? It means that before NFTs, it was impossible for digital assets to have value, because if you just find just meme image, and if you try to find out who owns the JPEG, nobody knows, right? People always say right-click save, it's the same thing as original, and there's no way to prove the ownership. But after NFTs, thanks to blockchain technology, now if you want to see who the owner is, you can just go to blockchain and see who the owner is. And not only that, you can see all the records and say, okay, this person created this NFT, and when it was created, and how much it was sold, and you can see all the transaction record completely publicly. So you can easily see the authenticity of ownership for digital assets. So why do NFTs have values? In order to understand that, let's understand why does art have value to begin with. So everyone here knows about Mona Lisa, right? And Mona Lisa is worth $800 million. But why is that? So I wrote 4 options, and I wanted to ask you all questions, but the time is limited, so just think of the answer in your head. 1, because it's the best piece of art. It's a beautiful art. 2, it was made by one of the most popular artists, Leonardo da Vinci. 3, because people are crazy. Probably option 3 is not the correct answer. But and 4, none of the above. Think of the answer, and I'm going to tell you the answer. The answer is none of the above. It's actually accident and meme. So Mona Lisa was actually not famous for 400 years since it was created, because it was, no one knows what the Mona Lisa is, but there's an accident. 1911, it was stolen from Louvre, and that made a huge international sensation. And now everyone knows about Mona Lisa because everyone talked about it, and people like rush into Louvre to just take a picture of this empty spot. So that accident made Mona Lisa like super, super popular. And after that, people started making memes. One French artist made this like meme that like they put like beard and mustache to Mona Lisa and put like word in French. And that made like small scandal. And all the other artists are like, oh, hey, it's working. Why don't I do that as well? And they started making like memes over and over and over again. And people started sharing those like memes, and we still make memes about like Mona Lisa, like Corona Lisa. So like it's still going there. So what we can understand is the more it's shared, the more it's seen, the higher cultural value is. And the higher cultural value is, the higher it is to own. And Mona Lisa, like now people go to Louvre just to see Mona Lisa, and Mona Lisa, Louvre gets $10 million, 10 million visitors every year. So combining that, the 80% of visitors to Louvre actually go and see Mona Lisa. So if you calculate that, Mona Lisa is generating $160 million per year, which is like already like great ROI for Louvre, right? So it's so you can understand that this art has value because it has high cultural value, but. And same rule should apply to digital assets, but it was not possible to do that for digital assets because there's no way to prove that which one is original, which one is copy. Because if you know that Mona Lisa is fake, who pays to like go to Louvre, right? You're not going to go to Paris to see fake Mona Lisa. So that's why digital assets was not able to have values because there's no way to prove which one is original, which one is copy. But as I mentioned, thanks to NFT, thanks to blockchain technology, now you can completely prove that which one is original and which one is copy. So with the NFT, the digital assets finally are able to have values in the digital world. So let's look at an example. Have you seen this all memes? Tie-dye Chloe, Zoe, yeah, Disaster Girl. So they have high cultural value. Everyone knows about this, but there's no way to make money from it because there's no way to prove this one is original, which one is copy. But after NFTs, this Chloe and Zoe, the person who owns the original copy, actually made NFT. And guess how much it is? You can just scream, $1,000. Great, thank you. So the tie-dye Chloe was sold for $75,000, which is okay. It could go high, and Disaster Girl was sold $0.5 million because they were able to prove that it was from Zoe herself, and they were able to prove that it's original. So hopefully this understands a little bit about why NFT is so exciting and why NFT has value. And if you want to know more about it, you can go to CuriousAddys.com. Curious is curious, and Addy is ADDYS.com. And we have a lot more resources to cover because NFT is a lot more deep. We can dig so much deeper into it. Okay, I'm going to skip this. Okay, so let's talk about Metaverse. Have you heard of Metaverse? Everyone have heard of Metaverse? Oh, it's a lot more than NFTs and blockchain. That's great. So it's crazy that someone spent $450,000 to buy land right next to Snoop Dogg. I might pay for it. I don't know, but Metaverse is crazy, right? So what exactly is Metaverse? So Metaverse is digital universe, and digital universe has been exist for almost 10 years because Oculus came out in 2012, right? But in virtual reality is becoming as good as physical reality. But why now? Why now people are excited about Metaverse? So virtual reality, even though it was existing, there is so many things that you can do, there was no economy because virtual items couldn't have values, right? Even though you buy items in the virtual reality, even though if you buy land in virtual reality, there's no way for you to show the value because again, there's all digital assets couldn't have values. But now NFT concept came in, and now all the digital items in the metaverse can have values. So virtual land could be worth for like almost $0.5 million, and you can also buy fashion items, which is also which can be also NFTs, so it can have values. So because of thanks to blockchain technology, thanks to NFT, Metaverse is becoming like a huge economy, and now it's almost taking over physical economy. People are like buying lands, virtual land, and brands are buying land, and brands are putting ads because people are coming to virtual land and see those ads. So we can do those like different things in Metaverse. So it might take over physical world, it might not, but it is something certainly you need to keep in mind that this is becoming like real economy in the virtual world. So the last topic is DAO. This topic probably is not known. How many of you have heard of? Oh, wow, so many people, that's amazing. Okay, so now I'm excited to talk about this DAO because I thought that it's not really known concept, but I guess in educational world, probably DAO, it makes more sense. So the DAO means Decentralized Autonomous Organization, but in simple word, DAOs are internet communities that with a shared bank account and ownership. So I'll give you one example. For example, if you want to create an organization that helps children in underrepresented community to give access to education, what you can do is you can pull up DAO and you can collect all the people around the internet and let them become the member, and they can all chip in like $100, $1,000, and you can create the shared treasury, and then all the members can make a proposal and vote for which project to fund. And DAO scheme allows you to do so because it's decentralized. There's no central party, and usually the organizations there's a top executive decide everything. But in DAO structure, all the members have to agree on all the proposals, and all the members have power to decide what to do with the shared account. And it's completely autonomous. People are not going to make rules. People are going to make rules. People are not going to govern the rules. All the rules are governed by smart contract code, and the code is written in public place, so you can always see what the rules for this organization, how many people have to vote for like one proposal, and how many hours proposal has to be there. So it's completely autonomous, and all the process are automated by the code. And finally, it's transparent, so you can see all the record of who proposed it, what kind of proposals are there, and how many people voted for. So you can all see. It's in traditional organization, it's almost impossible to see all the decision making, right? But in DAOs, you can see all the decision making, so you can really trust that, like, okay, this organization is doing the right thing. And I'm going to skip those things, sorry. But finally, like, why you should join DAOs? Well, I believe DAO is really future of work because it's a great way to get started for your career in Web3. And the people who can't work for full-time, it's just like party bikes, because you can contribute as much as you want, and you can like just join for like just do a little bit like writing, or like you can just like a little writing. The same thing, you can like contribute for 2 hours per week. You can contribute like full time, and it will really allows you to do a very, very flexible way of working. So that's why DAO is really exciting. And how to join DAO? Identify your goals, how you can help, what kind of skills you have, community manager, project management, design, development, anything, and where you want to help, what kind of missions you're interested in, and familiarize yourself with community flow. The great thing about Web3 is it's all open, so you can just join Discord and start learning about it, and people start teaching you like what the processes are, and identify which DAO like fits you the most. And the third part is most important: be proactive and contribute. Web3 again is an amazing place because as long as you are proactive, people recognize you. People say, "Oh, you're working hard. Why don't you like why don't I give you more opportunities? Why don't I give you more responsibility?" So it's a lot easier than traditional organization to start contributing and start like making impact in the organization. So key takeaway for this session is Web3 is here. Now is the time to get started. People think that it's too late. It's not too late. It's still early. Like you guys are so early, and if you get in now, you can learn everything because like DAO just started. NFT has started like 4 years ago, but still it feels pretty new, and the technology is changing so much. So if you get in now, you really get to see like this evolution of this technology, and but also you also have to understand what you're investing in because this place is Wild West. So you will encounter scams and everything. So it's important to like educate yourself and understand what you're getting into. So I'm going to pass the mic to Laura. But probably because we both are talking about this, you probably think that crypto is like women-dominated, but it's actually male-dominated. Only 7% of women and non-binary individuals invest in crypto assets, and 5% of NFT sales made by female artists. So there's a huge problem that still it's so male-dominated. And Laura is working on an amazing project to break the gender gap and bring more women to the space.
Thank you so much, Mai. And I know we're coming to the end, but even just to echo some of the points you said, I mean, going back to that first analogy at the beginning where I shared about Web 2 versus Web 3 companies, that gaming example, in a Web 2 company, the way a gaming business model works is the game company creates the assets, they either attract advertisers' dollars or they sell in-game assets, and the company gets to keep all the profits. But in a Web3 company, if you play a game, you actually could own some of those assets and take them outside of the game and sell them because the assets in the game are NFTs. So it's such an interesting way to get involved and to own part of the Web3 future. So absolutely echo that we're so early, we're just getting started. And yes, what I work on is getting together women so that we can have a much more diverse and inclusive representative Web3 future. It will certainly make the Web3 future better for so many of us, not just the women involved as well. And to do that, we are creating the most social, educational, and fun way to onboard into Web3. So if any of you women out there are interested, we are a community for women and non-binary professionals. Also, guys, tell your sisters, your friends, your daughters, your moms. We're super welcoming. As you can see, we've gotten together for now, it's been over 70 events in person. We had 40 dinners in 15 cities last week in major cities across the United States. We love to get together on Zoom and cover Web3 education, so much more in depth than what we were able to do today. And definitely welcome and encourage you to get involved. One thing we always say is that we really are just having breakfast on January 1st of Web3 right now. You're not late. We're just building all the future that Web3 can include today.
Okay, and a little bit about ourselves. So hopefully we explain Web3 in a way that it might make you excited, get more excited. So you might have like one question, two questions, millions of questions right now. So if you want to ask questions to experts, come to our product, and we made a product that you can ask any questions about Web3, and we'll answer in 6 hours. And you'll be guaranteed to get answers in any topics about Web3. So go to amber.help and ask questions, and we'll get it answered. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.